Welcome back here into the Sunday Sports Zone. All right, the NFL draft in the books, and now there were some local players hoping to hear their names called. Now, here's the list of the guys that we expected to have NFL homes, and now all of them do. Only one of them was drafted, Frank. Jalen Simpson, drafted by the Colts on the third day of the draft. The rest of these guys had to find their homes during undrafted free agency. One of them staying close to home. How about David White Jr. joining the Jaguars as an undrafted free agent from Westside High School? He doesn't have to move that far. He's heading straight downtown to Jacksonville with the Jaguars.
That's a great story. It's great that David White gets to come. Now, listen, undrafted guys have a steep mountain to climb. You know that. They know that. But you're getting an opportunity. Even if you're just going to camp or going to mini camp and practicing against the best, you're getting paid to play football, and you're going against the best, and you're getting better. I think it's awesome. I think it's great David gets to go here. Austin Reed's pretty good. If you've seen Austin Reed's tape from Western Kentucky, he's a pretty good player. I'd be surprised if he doesn't stick in the league. I like the fact that he's at the Bears. He and Caleb Williams got to be buddies when they trained here in Jacksonville together with Denny Thompson and company. That's kind of cool. And Carter Bradley really evolved into a good player. Started out Toledo, wound up at South Alabama, was very good in Senior Bowl practices. So hopefully the two quarterbacks have a great chance to stick around. I think it's great that David White is here. So, yeah, it's always fun when local guys get a chance, Jamal. Truly is.
I got to tell you, you root for them because they're from the area, but I got the chance to meet David White and Austin Reed during the process, and both of them, after you get a chance to talk to them, there's no way you can't want to root for them. We ran their stories here on Channel 4, and I was standing in the studio, and the other anchors and everybody were sitting there watching the story, and they said, I really hope they do well. I was like, me too. So I'm really excited that David White's going to be a Jaguar, get a chance to cover him and see how his career moves along. Now, the local guys aren't the only ones we're keeping an eye on, Frank. Of course, we talk about our college football, right? Florida State, Georgia, Florida all had a bunch of guys hear their names called. Well, Florida State and Georgia had a bunch of guys hear their names called. Here's the totals for each school, Frank. Florida State, 10 guys. We expected them to have a big class. Georgia, 8 guys. You expected them to have a big class. And Florida, they got just enough to keep their streak rolling of consecutive years with a player drafted, but they only had just the one.
Yeah, a storyline for all of them. I'll start with the Bulldogs. Okay. 8 players drafted. It's amazing how well Kirby Smart is recruited. That if you have 8 or 9 or 10 every year and then you keep doing it, it shows how you're replenishing. He's the best recruiter in the country. They've won 2 national titles. I think he's going to win another one. So it shows what he's done. Florida State had 10 players drafted. Think about this, Jamal. 9 of those players began their college career elsewhere. Did you realize that? Only Renardo Green, the cornerback, was a full-time Seminole. That's how good Mike Norvell has been in the portal. 10 players drafted. 9 of them started their career somewhere else, and Mike Norvell found them, brought them to Tallahassee, and developed them. So that's pretty amazing stuff. As for the Gators, think about this. The last time Florida only had 1 player drafted was 1980, Jamal. 1980. I was in school at Florida at the time. That's how long ago it was. My forehead wasn't nearly this big. I didn't need glasses. I was a student the last time Florida only had 1 guy drafted. It's incredible to me, the dearth of talent there and how things have changed. You want to know why Billy Napier's not winning? Because they don't have any good players. It's amazing to me, only 1 player drafted. It really is.
And talk about guys that came out of the portal. The one guy that they got drafted was a portal guy, Ricky Pearsall. I mean, I guess it counts for something that he snuck into the first round, right?
Yeah, and I actually think Napier's done a pretty good job. Now, listen, he had to gut the thing. He had to get rid of a bunch of guys. Part of it is Dan Mullen didn't recruit very well. Everybody's known that. Dan Mullen did a bad job recruiting. But it also shows that Napier has not done a very good job in the portal. Yeah, he went and got Ricky Pearsall, who's been fantastic, and he did a good job developing him. But other coaches that are going into their 3rd year have done a way better job of finding difference makers in the portal than Florida has. So he hasn't done a good job of that. He had to clean house a little bit. Mullen didn't recruit well. It's pretty amazing. Now, having said that, they'll be better. There'll be more next year because I think they're getting a little bit older. But that's an astounding stat for me, Jamal. It really is. 1 player from the University of Florida for the first time since 1980. By the way, first time since 97, Florida hasn't had a defensive player drafted. Pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, this is very interesting. And I think you hit it with Kirby Smart because when you talked about those Georgia Bulldogs, Florida State and Florida, we're not real sure who's going to be real highly drafted next year, but Georgia, you start with the guy from Jacksonville. Carson Beck might be the first quarterback drafted if he has a pretty good season because he is that highly talked about already. So you talk about those Bulldogs, they just keep pumping them out, NFL product after NFL product.
It's amazing, and I agree with you on Carson Beck. I think he's going to be the very first quarterback taken. I think he would have been the second quarterback this year. I think Caleb Williams would have been first no matter what. I think Carson Beck would have been the second quarterback this year. He's going to go very high. Georgia has really loaded up. FSU is intriguing now because when 9 of your 10 guys come from the portal, the question is, can you do it again next year and the next year? We don't know that. I think so, but we don't know. You know Georgia's going to keep pumping them out. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, that portal life, it's tough to figure out if there's going to be longevity there. Mike Norvell is going to put it to the test this year, though. We'll find out as college football season starts to inch closer. Hey, Frank, thanks for hanging out with us a little bit.